What is this and why?
Someone asked me recently what my thoughts were on dating outside of my social class, and I answered that I would quite literally never do that, and here's why. For the purpose of this question, I took social class to sort of mean like socioeconomic class, so my economic status, maybe around how much money I make, the social status, like perhaps the caliber of school that I went to and the spaces that I found myself in as a result, and the people I found myself surrounded by, and then also like the lifestyle I created for myself that's a combination of like the economic status and
I'm
the
getting
school
bored
and
already.
the
Stop
spaces
defining
and
your
all of that.
terms.
I think
Make
you
the
guys get
argument.
how that fits together. It's important to note that I did not grow up with a lot of money. My father went to prison when I was 4 years old. During that time and all the time after, like my mom has been a public school teacher, so they don't make a lot of money. When we first moved to Atlanta, we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with 7 people sharing 1 bathroom. Like I literally shared the bottom bunk of a bunk bed with my second oldest brother, and then my oldest brother and my sister-in-law.
Can we get to the point where you
bed.
argue the thing?
Okay, we were not a Jack and Jill family, okay? Money was not...
Aren't TikToks supposed to be short? Yeah, that's the conventional logic. Apparently that got... We dropped that point at some point.
We didn't have a lot of it. So knowing my circumstances, when I was like 12 years old, I made this vision board for myself. My mom actually found recently in her storage unit. I had basically carved out my entire life, like what I was gonna do in high school to make sure I could get into an Ivy League college, and what I was gonna do at that college to make sure I could get into a certain law school, or...
Everybody who's made it talks like this, and then you talk with them privately for 5 minutes and it turns out they're a retard. Like, everyone thinks this after they've already made it. Yes, of course, those saltine crisps, perhaps a little more sodium chloride next time. Oh, my life? My future? Well, of course, from the very beginning, I knew I was destined for Ivy League greatness. Shut the f... Everyone, they're all like this, dude. It's genuinely an indication of low IQ because it means they can't perceive the socioeconomic, I don't know, backing in reality and the luck element to like the trajectory that their life has taken. The most intelligent, wealthy people are like, yeah, I got lucky and I kind of kept bouncing off that. That's the most honest answer, you know? But any of this like, from the very beginning I knew, nah, come on. I've talked to plenty of people from Ivy League universities. They're not any meaningfully different. Well, they're wealthier, but they're not meaningfully different from people who go to state college. They're just not. It's connections. It's the ability to suck up to the people above you. It's like being born wealthy. There's not a meaningful difference in planning or intelligence or anything like that. Like for the most part, life is just capitalizing on previous successes or failures. That's how it is.
Buy a certain car and have a certain apartment or home, like all of these things I had planned out, and I knew that because my family didn't have the same financial resources someone else's did or access to certain people to get me into doors, I had to open them myself. So that's what I did. I created an insane amount of opportunities for myself by...
Also, this like vague grind set speak. It's giving very like survivorship bias, you know? Oh, yeah, I didn't have all these advantages that other people had, so I had to create my own opportunities. That doesn't mean anything. What does that mean, create your own opportunities? You mean you did things? What did you do? They always talk in these like vagaries because the real answer that they would give, usually, it's like the articles that you read where people talk like this for 20 minutes and then at the end they're like, and after, you know, my parents paid my rent till I was 22 and then I was able to, you know, inherit our vacation home. After they bought me my own condominium from which I was able to work rent-free after graduating from college. I'm not saying that's necessarily the case with her, by the way. Because I don't know or care or whatever. I do think, though, it's a pretty bad indicator to one's intelligence and self-awareness to use terms like create your own opportunities. Because it's like it's like Silicon Valley tech nothing speak that makes you sound impressive, but it frees you from the responsibility of specifying what you actually did, usually because it's not very impressive.
Literally putting my blood, sweat, and tears into everything I did.
Just like it means nothing. It's meant to sound impressive. It indicates nothing. If anything, my I guess impression of her is worsening over time, not because of her wealth, which I could tell from the beginning from where she's choosing to film this video and her attitude, but from her lack of self-awareness.
From the time that I was 12 years old until now, like 23, I was so intentional about every decision I made.
Jesus Christ, dude. It's a messianic fantasy that stupid, successful people construct for themselves to make luck sound impressive.
made, whether it was not dating in high school or not drinking or prioritizing school or trying to get different scholarships. I did everything.
Many rich people feel insecure and have a need to justify to themselves why they're rich. Yeah. Well, this is survivorship bias, right? Like, if I made it out, everyone can. There's no way that, like, the cosmos favored me. There's no way that luck is a determining factor in my success. There's no way that my happiness isn't down to me, but rather due to circumstances beyond my control. It must have been that I'm, you know, like the Bene Gesserit, my plans are measured in centuries. From the age of 12, I was already sowing the seeds of my path to ascension, you know?
Everything in my power to make sure that the life I was creating for myself while I was kind of stepping into the autonomy that I would have as a young adult, even as a teenager, going into a young adult, being able to create the life I want to, that I was doing everything in my power to have something different than what I had growing up. And of course, I didn't.
Nothing fucking means anything. Like, it's like an allergic. Like, what do you mean? I made the choice to not go out and party and rather stayed at home late doing all my homework and following up with professors to make sure that I had a good relationship with them so that I could take advantage of any opportunities that I got if they cropped up. Why not say something like that? Did that happen or did that not happen? What do you mean?
I didn't have to do this. I didn't have to stay up all night applying to scholarships to earn over $500,000 to go to college. I didn't have to apply to Columbia and do all the things that...
Weird how she hasn't even addressed the original question yet at all. We're like halfway through. They really should have made TikToks 1 minute long and kept it that way. The platform has fallen. Let me just spend like 2 minutes bragging non-specifically about how impressive I am. Okay.
Is required to get into a school like that, but I wanted to because I wanted to have a certain life. Even when it comes to content, when I started making content, I was taking 19 credit hours. I was working 3 days a week in office at my internship, but then I was also working with a tech startup virtually, and then I also started doing content, and it was probably...
Really? So you were doing content and working 3 days a week at your internship and also working at a tech startup. Okay. So yeah, like, I guess a lot of people in college. Where'd the money come from? Just all scholarships? What'd you do to get those scholarships?
One of the hardest times in my life, but again, I knew that I wanted to set myself up for greatness, and that...
It really is mythology. It's mythology they create for themselves. They're so dull and uninteresting. The way they talk about themselves, it feels like it comes out of a template, you know? Oh yeah, of course. Well, my life plan, you're an Atreides, son. Your plan's already been made for you. You were destined for greatness.
That is what was required. So knowing that, understanding how much work I put into the person that I wanted to be and the life I wanted to have, feels so unfair to me now and also to my younger self, who was just so forward thinking and like put so many things on the back burner to prioritize the life that I would have right now.
Like, it reads to me as like a little bit psycho behavior to talk like... I know I'm kind of belaboring the point, and I feel like a lot of people here in chat agree with me on this, but this is getting almost exclusively positive attention on Twitter. 33K likes. She's incredibly wise and is intentional about everything she does, which is probably why she's successful at such a young age. You're cooked. You've fallen for the mythology. You've fallen for the brain rot. You're listening to... you know, the grind set mythology of everyone who makes it when others didn't, every survivorship bias, afflicted individual who lacks self-awareness, and you're looking at her in awe and going, wow, I can't believe how impressive that was. You're telling me that at 12 she had her whole life planned out? That's definitely true and something I really believe.
For me to date someone who cannot give me the life that I've always wanted, like they can't match it. I don't even need you to give it to me because I've already gotten it for myself, but... Oh,
hold on. Her language for a moment implied that she hadn't grind set it hard enough, so she had to correct herself there. She was like, wait, hold on. For a moment, I might have implied that I have not single-handedly wrenched perfection from the threads of fate, that I have not woven a perfect life for myself from even from the womb. I was already calculating the optimal footstep path to take to school to guarantee the likelihood of me bumping into somebody who would later offer me a scholarship 7 years in the future, because that sparked the conversation that allowed an organic development of our rapport rather than me artificially meeting them by asking them to, like, yeah, we get it.
If you can't be right there with me, it's not fair to me to lower my standards or accept certain things that I knew I never wanted to, which is why I work so hard on myself just so that I can be with you.
Okay, so she doesn't want to date a poor person because she thinks it's beneath her. That's literally it. That's the entire... This is a 4.5-minute video, and only thing she's saying is, it's beneath me to date a poor person. That's it. That's lit. There's no other... Like, all of these words are just ways of constructing an artifice around that central belief. And honestly, good for her, because it sounds sounds like she's not really looking for love anyway, so why would any poor person want to subject themselves to a relationship with you know, egotist like this who would just hold her wealth over you forever? She would never see your relationship as an opportunity to uplift somebody she loves. She would see you as a burden. Like, she's kind of sparing you, you know? All good.
And it is not lost on me the fact that a lot of guys my age are just not going to have what I have, because I'm in a very unique position to make an insane amount of money for someone my age. And that's where the other part of this
unique position to make an insane amount of money for my age? Are you rich or are you not rich? She's been contacted by tenant media.
socioeconomic status comes in. I need to at least see that you have worked as hard as I have to put yourself into certain spaces, to open up certain doors for
into certain space. What does any of this mean? Sorry, honey, I don't date for love. I need to see that you've had at least 3 mind-numbing like your founders meetings with tech startups that aren't going to go anywhere this week, or I'm not going to date you. Okay.
yourself to go to certain schools or whatever it is, because you have this intrinsic ambition and drive, because you know that you also have your eyes set on the sort of lifestyle that I do, and that is what you're actively working.
That's true, man. Poor people just lack ambition and drive. If she'd actually come from poverty, she'd have some empathy. Wrong. Again, this is classic survivorship bias. I made it out, so why can't anyone else? The mental strength necessary to accept that you've been favored by luck when other people who work just as hard as you have not been is beyond her. That's beyond a lot of people. A lot of people, like, they need to create a mythology to justify their success over others, because otherwise they'd feel guilty. That's the guilt, you know? The survivorship bias, right? That, you know, oh God, why do all these like great people who worked really hard that I grew up with, all these like girls in the hood or whatever, like, why are they still struggling while I'm not? You can either accept that knowledge and work with it to build a better tomorrow for everyone, or you can just believe that you're built different, even though, honest, I just don't get that bright of a vibe from her. Self-awareness is a component of intelligence.
Towards every day. Not having that does not make you a bum. It doesn't make you undesirable. It doesn't make you an unattractive man or anything. It just makes you incompatible with me and the lifestyle that I want to have.
Yeah, you're not worse if you're poor and therefore lack the drive and desire, you know? It doesn't make you a worse person. You're just like, you're just not my type, sweetie.
I appreciate the drive that I have and the confidence that has been instilled in me because of all the things I've been able to do for myself, and I really appreciate that in other potential partners as well. So if I'm really considering like seriously dating someone, not just like a casual date, whatever, this is something that is a requirement for me. It's not like oh, I hope, or maybe I will. I've tried it before. I'm not doing it. This is what I require, and I don't think it's a lot to ask. Shit, I asked it of myself at 12, and look at where.
She's so obsessed with the mythology, dude. It's like fucking Joffrey on the throne. Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? From the womb, I had planned every step on the path I walk.
Where I am.
All right, nice. I can't believe this is getting so much positive attention. My guess is that a lot of black women are basically seeing this regardless of their own socioeconomic status. And they're nodding and they're going, you know, yeah, fuck these broke-ass bums trying to waste my time while I'm trying to get ahead. So I think that they're like, I do think there's an underlying validity to that, because a lot of people are like low effort, no ambition, broke-ass bums. And I'm saying that as a mindset thing, not an actual wealth thing. The broke-ass is a wealth thing. The bum, that's a mindset thing. There you go. And there are a lot of women in the... Okay, I'm going to... Hold on a second. Let me just do a disclaimer, okay? See this? See all this? Yeah, keep that in mind as I talk, okay? So, as a white boy, it seems like there's a very specific dynamic in the... with like black Americans, where there's a lot of young black women who are trying as hard as they can to get a better life, and there's a perception from them that there are a lot of young black guys who aren't, or who are more complacent, and they see those guys as like a distraction from a better life, if that makes any sense. Like, the guy is potentially something that can get them pregnant, or that can like waste their time or whatever, and they think of like, oh, these bums, they're like, you know, getting in my way. And I think there's some legitimacy to that in the sense of you shouldn't let people drag you down if you have life ambitions, but for that reason they're getting to like internalizing this grind set bullshit, which doesn't, you know, not good. Internalized race realism. Nope, that has nothing to do with what I said. Try again. These type of black women are calling the divestment movement. I mean, I don't want to speak to like race, because I don't even necessarily think it's a race thing. I just think that a lot of men fucking suck. I really do. I'm sorry. It's not an innate thing. It's not a testosterone thing. It's just socially, a lot of guys, especially a lot of young guys, suck, and I think that's evident in their voting patterns. Black, white, whatever, Latin, Asian. We've gotten it from everywhere, haven't we? Arab. Just young guys, dude. And I guess I support young women who are trying to pull away from that, but you don't want to do that in a way that reaffirms the systems that create these problems to begin with, right? You don't want to try to break away from the dynamic in a way that reinforces the dynamic. Yeah, it's true, but a lot of young girls are swinging a little too far sometimes. Both my sister and I. What do you mean swinging a little too far? You mean like going too far in the man-hate direction? Not hate, but yeah. Yeah, I get you. I get you. The irony with her thought process here is that if she actually follows through with what she's saying, it's going to lead to a one-dimensional, overly materialistic romantic relationship for her. Oh, no, she's guaranteeing an unhappy relationship in the future. If you are pursuing a relationship, number one, like, primo uno interest has to be love and compatibility. Like, sorry to be gay about it, but that's true, you know? And what does she even have to talk about besides herself? She didn't say a single thing. Like, she didn't demonstrate any character in that other than, like, the self-mythologizing. It doesn't indicate. I don't know anything about her except that she's materialistic and shallow and not very thoughtful. That's it. She'll end up dating 20 dudes and complain it's because men are shit. Yeah, that's also true. We have to do tit for tat a little bit. I agree that men are shit. However, if you're a chick and you've dated like 17 guys in a row and they were all bad, you might want to refine your assessment standards a little bit, because that is a real thing where a girl is like, oh yeah, men are all shit, and then you ask, what do you look for in a guy? And she's like, well, I like bad boys. Is that true? You're very good at finding them. I'm not doing the incel thing. I'm just saying that is a thing. That is a component. That is a factor. It is possible to find 17 shitty men. Yeah, of course it's possible. But, you know, I mean, it is possible to be looking for the wrong things in people, like the lady we just saw clearly is. Yeah, it's something you have to keep in mind. This also happens among gay men quite often. Well, I mean, they're stuck with guys, you know? Shit sucks. Why do you not suck? You just build different? Yes. A lot of people are drawn to toxic people. Yeah, it's not just women. There are just probably more toxic guys, so it seems like women are more predisposition to go after the bad guys. Narcissism is attractive, unfortunately. Maybe to you. Best option is to be a lesbian. I've planned out being a lesbian since I was 12. Yeah, that's true. Lesbians, a demographic that famously never experienced relationship turmoil. Good luck. Good luck.